And record.
Got it.
If you want to show up in the feed, feel free to throw your camera on. Otherwise, yeah, we'll be recording. This isn't going straight to YouTube. I like to edit at the end in case there are any disruptions for whatever reason. But we usually give 10 minutes or so until we get things started, 3 minutes after the hour. I'm gonna go do some literal housekeeping around here, but keep mingling and we'll get started soon. So Evan, Omid, what do you guys do in Python? You new, you super experienced, got any projects, ideas?
Yeah, I'm pretty new with Python. Just kind of started doing a course. I did the Google course for Python, and then started down Free Code Camp, and I just did an arithmetic formatter project. I just finished that up last night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, don't have that much experience, but getting into it. Then I found this meetup and thought it'd be fun to come in.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Where are you?
Oh, located in East Sac.
Oh, okay. So you're pretty local to the area.
Yep.
Yeah. Now that we're on Zoom, our reach is a little broader.
Oh, that's pretty cool. How far away do you get like people from, like other countries too?
I'm in West Sacramento.
Oh, nice.
You're in West Sac? I thought you were actually in New Zealand.
Oh, that's fairly west, isn't it?
Oh yeah, incredibly West Sacramento.
And fairly well south as well.
Yeah.
So keep going west till you hit the Pacific and then start swimming. You'll sooner or later you'll turn up.
Yeah, swim far enough that you completely change seasons.
Yeah, when toilets start going the other direction, you're almost there.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Evan? What are you working on?
I just recently lost a drive with all my projects on it, and I'm so smart. I use Git for everything, cough, cough. So I'm not completely redoing a project that I was working on previously.
Oh, nice.
Good.
Now, now that I get to rehash it, I get to do things a little bit smarter, but I'm primarily networking. So doing things like interacting with a couple thousand devices to make sure they're on the proper firmware, setting up alarms, logs, that sort of thing, and learning to deal with that at the moment. I've only been doing Python for probably a year and change, so not particularly advanced.
Oh, it sounds like some pretty detailed projects, though. Good on you. What about you, Supus? Oh,
yes, I'm here. Yeah, so I've been working. I do work with Python. So currently, I'm doing this CRM for this company that I work for, and that's pretty much what I'm doing right now with Python. I'm doing in Django.
Oh, cool. You're making a CRM or you're implementing?
Yeah. No,
cool.
I'm making a CRM for them.
Oh,
That's something that I've been kind of interested in. For me, like I like to be able to give the guys something like Ansible Tower so they can run scripts and whatnot, like playbooks and whatnot, or pull reports and stuff like that. And Django seems like it's a whole other beast.
Yep. Yeah, Django. It has like everything for web development. They take care of everything.
Why did you decide to use Django and not one of the downloadable CRMs?
Well, this is very custom. It's a very custom CRM they wanted. So this is an import-export company, and they want to keep track of everything, and everything that was on the market, it didn't fit their needs. So they hired me to create one for them.
Nice. How far along is the project?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be a couple of months, but it's been almost a year now. Well, actually,
Yeah.
more than a year, and it's still going.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, they just keep adding and adding stuff.
Import export. So from where to where?
I guess from all over the country, from all over the world, they import food and stuff. So this is a Mexican company, by the way.
Oh,
So they import food. So they had to meet some guidelines from the government, and they need to keep track of everything. Like in order to let it in the country, they need to follow these guidelines. And depending on the type of import, if it's food, it's a whole bunch of rules. And they just have to keep track of everything. So when the government does an audit, they just show them everything. Here it is. We tested everything, we checked everything, and photos and everything. They have everything.
Well, that's awesome. What's been the most challenging part of that so far?
Getting the idea out of the client. Because they tell me one thing and it's like, no, when it's done, oh no, we didn't want it like that. It's like, oh, we want it this way. And that's the most challenging part, getting the idea out of them. Because everything else is just code, Python, and nothing really special.
Sounds like a job for a whiteboard.
Yes, we done that, and yeah, they just keep changing it.
That's the rule of
No.
contract work. They have an idea in their head, but they won't ever tell you what it is.
Exactly.
Yes, but the complementary rule of contracting is I'll keep going with your changes as long as you keep paying my bill.
Yeah, that's exactly, that is what's happening. They just keep paying.
Gravy train.
All right. Well, I put a word out to Robert to see if he's going to join us, but we're 10 minutes after the hour. So as I said, might as well get started. Can you see me? Here we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. Another edition of SacPy. It's December 1st, last of the year, 2022. Still pandemic. We're still on Zoom. I guess you can walk around without masks, unless you're in China these days. But I don't know. I kind of like this whole Zoom thing. The occasional hiccup. Can't imagine it'd be as contentious in person. It would probably be a little easier when someone is joking around in person to shut things down. But I guess moderation is pretty easy. This thing got started a while back, 2017, I believe, February, by this guy Josh Miller, and I was just getting started in Python. I was taking a class, and I was at the community college in the Sacramento area, and I thought, hey, I should go try to meet some people doing Python in the area, and got there, met some people, ended up joining a startup, and then thought, hey, maybe one of these events I should present something. So I put together a presentation, and he got me scheduled up, and presentation rolled around, and he said, oh, by the way, I'm gonna leave. So if anyone wants to run this, whatever. Just kind of tossed everything up in the air. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm presenting and I want to do that. I might as well just run this thing. So that was January 2020. We were still in person in Midtown Sacramento we were at the Urban Hive, not Urban Dictionary. That's a website. Urban Hive. Maybe we can go back there at some point, but yeah, just a couple months later, COVID hit, and we ended up moving things to Zoom eventually. So here we are. Thanks for getting us started, Josh. Thanks for the handoff. I think maybe when I hand things off, I'll try to do things a little bit more explicitly than the just like, oh, someone do it, I'm leaving. But I hope you're enjoying your time in Tennessee. Yeah, so we are on a number of chat channels, Slack and Discord. If you want to take a quick screenshot or scan either of those should get you there, pretty sure. But yeah, I post in both. I'm in the Discord more often, but I'll keep posting updates to the Slack as they come through. Yeah, the Slack one's run by a group called SacTech. I think SacTech is actually a company, and their community manager put together a number of things. And there's each of the channels typically has a meetup associated with it. And we're, of course, the SacPy channel. And then Brazen Studios is my company. And there's a SacPy channel in there. Oh, I think I've dundered it since, so it's not, it's __ SacPy __. Ha ha ha. But yeah, I'm a fan of both. Though Taneem points out Slack is better for handling really big files. I think I just need to update or upgrade the Discord. We'll do that. We'll do that at some point. We've got both, so you know, whatever.
Yeah, sounds like it costs money. So
Yeah, I think the SacTech one is like enterprise. I could be wrong, but
yeah,
whatever. All right, so we're also on a number of things. Twitter's probably the one I use the most. Subreddit, FTP. Evan says, yeah, that's yeah, we should put together an FTP and maybe like a IRC channel.
I guess have an SFTP server just to use modern technologies, or a CDN of whatever flavor, one flavor.
All right, so either Evan or Taneem are volunteering to set one of those up. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Really, gotta love the open source community. Oh, sweet. Evan says can do.
All right, you've volunteered. Good. Thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
just afraid of who uploads to it.
Yeah, no, seriously, we get some jokers in here from time to time. Yeah, follow us on Twitter. I tweet at least on the day of. I'll sometimes respond to people that are doing stuff in the Python community. Subreddit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of terrified of Reddit. Every time I post anything, someone ends up coming into the Zoom and doing something funky. It's impressive, but it's also like, whoa, okay, it's a little disruptive. We got a Facebook group too and a Facebook page. Yeah, varying levels of usability on this. Oh, Robert says he's going to be here in 15 minutes or so. Cool. But yeah, if anyone has any tendencies towards any of those channels and wants to help out, feel free. And Evan, if you get the FTP set up or whatever, let me know, and we'll add it into the group's links. And maybe someone can help you with moderating it, make sure security is up to par. All right, so is it just you and me, Taneem? Are we just going to
I don't know if nobody else wants to.
Yeah, if anyone wants to get on their camera, we like to do a screenshot. Twinkles is in here a few times. All right, how do I make it so the pic? Where's my? I want to make this a bigger view. Hide self view. No, full screen. Nope. Oh, there we go. All right, Twinkles, smile. Oh no, get back in there. Hey, oh, there we go. You're getting bit. Nice. All right, we're slowly adding onto the thing there. Cool. Thank you, Twinkles and Taneem, of course.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so I've been a little busy lately, so unfortunately we didn't get too solid of a presentation lined up this time. So this time around we're doing show and tell.
I can start if people don't mind. Just to to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, that'd be great.
right.
If anyone recognizes this, the show and tell was from last night's Neuralink presentation. They had a thing, some
All right.
updates. And so obviously Taneem's show and tell is going to be of the same quality. Lots of neuroscience, a lot of micro machining and all that.
Right.
So
It's very polished, and
yes.
it's obviously been prepared.
Absolutely. All right.
Oh, it's-
Well, human trials are about to start on Taneem's stuff. So for now, I'll let you take it away.
All right. So I'm just going to share the whole thing because it's too hard to figure out what goes where. So as some of you know, I've been working on this COVID-19 tracker for, gosh, it's coming on 3 years now. It'll be 3 years probably since April of 2020. And something happened, I think, in the middle of May and until October of this year, middle of May 2022 to October 2022 is I noticed that my COVID-19 tracker wasn't getting updated. And it was because it reads from the New York Times COVID-19 database. And it was just looking at this big thing. You see this thing called uscounties.csv. Is reading from this, CSV file that has the cumulative running tally of COVID cases and deaths, for all the counties in the US. And, suffice to say, the first column is the date. Each row is an actual incident. But as you can see, this thing that is running fine until mid-May of this year, it doesn't have any more entries after, May 13th. And so my COVID-19, running tally, I have a blog post that I'll show, was just, it's like middle of July, middle of August, middle of September, wasn't getting updated. It just kept saying the last date is, May 13th, 2022. So what I noticed is when I, looked at that repo, is that it changed, the CSV files. It had this thing, but it also had these other things. This is the, cases and deaths by counties of 2022. So I'm going to go quickly through some inside baseball here. This part just says, look at all the COVID-19 data before, January 1st, 2022, this line here. And then, look at this file, that CSV file, and concatenate that pandas data frame with that information. And I'm not going to go through all the logic here, but I have a blog page. I can give the link to it in the chat. Let me just do that.
Taneem's stupid blog.
My stupid blog. And now, lo and behold, it's something that's updated daily properly. It's always going to give the information the day before, and it updates at around, I think, 3 a.m. in the morning, Pacific time. So I guess 3 a.m. December 2nd, this will be updated to say, 1st December 2022. And here's just a bunch of the stuff there. Shout out to the SacPy. I also have the Sacramento area here. And I have a movie of I have a bunch of movies, but this is, the COVID tracker for the Sacramento metro area. I guess
That's a few,
that's
a few counties, right? That's a few counties, right? I see Placer in there.
Yeah, it's all there. The counties that make up the Sacramento metro area. And I used to know this stuff. It's actually, some of the details are in the Sphinx database. I'm Sphinx documentation for this GitHub repo. And yeah, that's that thing. And I'm going to go to the second thing. I thought I'd be further along, and this also has some work aspect to it. But I've also been working, not as long, but I guess about 2 years now, a way to create HTML emails from this markup language called restructured text. And restructured text is the language that you write Sphinx documentation in mainly. And this is just an example of this restructured text code. It looks like a bunch of crap. If you guys have heard of a language called LaTeX or Markdown, restructured text is similarly in that vein. Like Markdown, it's designed to, convert from that markup language, Markdown or restructured text, into HTML. So I created a tool that the makefile says this thing. I'm going to explicitly show what it does. I actually described this tool in the last SacPy meetup. It's part of this repo called IV Thanim, and it's described as tools for Thanim Islam, tools from Thanim Islam, originally for Thanim Islam. So this is the thing, it creates this HTML file. Actually, let me make it a little more explicit. I'm gonna delete that.
Can you zoom
Yeah.
the text in a little?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, let's make it bigger. Is it a little better?
Yes.
Okay,
No small savings.
no small savings. So I deleted the HTML file, and now that HTML file is there, we just open it up. And here's the sort of thing it creates. So the thing that I wanted to get ready, sooner rather than later is, okay, here's this HTML file. Here's these images in there, in this table. Let me also email this HTML data with images to myself and Woody, and it should be quote unquote should just work. I'm not there yet, but I have ideas on how to proceed. It involves having to worry about how to change the HTML to create an email that where Google can send embedded images, an email with embedded images. Valid HTML, you can base64 encode your images into your HTML, and that is valid HTML. Your browser will display it properly. But if you try to send that HTML email through Google servers, Google will just say image not found at those, for those image file or images in your email. So I'm just going through this soft convention of what Google and other email servers are trying to do. And since I haven't even started the implementation, yeah, I guess if you want to have an offline discussion or just questions here, I'll be free to answer any questions like that. But yeah, that's where I am right now in terms of some of my hobby Python projects this month.
All right, so those equations there in the middle, is that LaTeX or is that something you can do with restructured text?
That's LaTeX. You can actually, nice thing about restructured text is that there's one specification. I'm going to show that to you. Okay, this is a lot bigger. You see this bit of markup language, the restructured text markup that describes LaTeX math. So for those of you who are familiar or have seen it, this is a LaTeX, formula or a way to write this formula in LaTeX. And restructured text has one specification, and that specification contains the ability of rendering a LaTeX formula in HTML. And that's what you guys are seeing here. Both an inline formula as well as one that's, blocked off into its own section.
All right, so if I'm understanding your markdown-ish, your restructured there, those are fractions, that's frac, and then the partial differential.
Yep. Uh-huh.
The partial differential squared of the phi over partial differential of x squared. Cool. Well,
and
neat.
it's actually a diffusion equation. It's elliptic rather than, oh, well, that's, yeah, I think it's elliptic. Oh, shoot, I used to know this a lot better. No, it's not elliptic. No, it is elliptic. The other one, the wave equation, is hyperbolic. So there it would have a negative sign here instead of a positive, and
It's not ellipsoid because you got Z in there too.
no, it's called elliptic, and I
No,
forgot the reason behind it, the nature of the, I don't know, the isocontours of these kinds of equations, what they look like, or their characteristic equation or characteristics, and it's all on Wikipedia somewhere.
Gotcha. That wasn't something from one of your previous ones. You had the laser going into the little plastic thing and it like
Oh yeah, that's
explodes.
that one. What was I talking about there? Oh, just describing what some of the work I do with Python at the lab. Yeah, that's a laser shining onto a plastic or a copper foam and producing a nice image. I guess I could update this to include an animated GIF of that thing that happens. And in IVThanim, remember, I also have a tool to convert MP4s into animated GIFs. I think I've shown a version of it a few months ago.
Yep.
Yep, it uses FFmpeg underneath the hood to make all that magic happen.
Nice. So, all right, the inline image thing, that's interesting because instead of having remote links, like
Yes.
you're able to work with those images just directly off your machine.
Yeah, exactly. I have this thing that's already created. The image files live on the disk, right? And this is a way of then creating an email, a my multi-part message with attachments so that those images render properly once you send it through Gmail or other, email servers. Because Google, Gmail, and others, I think Outlook, really hate having, base 64 encoded images in their emails, as in they don't allow it. And getting to the point where, okay, how do I make this soft convention work is, well, it's not something I can whip out in 30 minutes. At least I can't do it.
Come on, Danim, work on your speed.
Yeah, well, I guess people could pay me to work faster and sloppier.
There we go.
Cash first, product maybe later, maybe.
Nice. All right, what is it? Fast, cheap, good. Pick two.
I can maybe pick 0 for me.
There you go.
Or expensive. It'll be expensive.
There you go. Yeah, expensive.
It'll definitely not be cheap.
Yeah.
It'll be neither fast nor good, but it will be expensive.
So if you were running this as a formal project, what would be next on the product roadmap?
Oh, well, I have to, well, maybe, actually maybe hook up to Exchange servers. So use the Python modules that can talk to Exchange servers. So I could use this at work, so I can do something like, at a command line level, I'll have my document, I'll slurp that in, add any other attachments, and it'll just send the email to the recipients and CCs and BCCs. And they'll be like, okay, I'm good to go, I see it. Yeah, your complicated topic is a little clearer because I can see the formulas, I can see the images, I can see some animations, and lo and behold, okay, there's this bit of code where you've described, how you implemented your solution, that sort of thing.
Nice.
And of course, you can put links in, hyperlinks in here, and it would, like, I'll just go here, for instance. Here's that thing to zealously crop out, white space external white space, just remove it all. I use that stuff all the time. And actually a few other people at work have been using it too. Because,
Oh,
you
nice.
know, you don't want to have a bunch of white space unless you really want to just keep the white space. At least that's been my philosophy. And what else is there? That's pretty much it. What else was I gonna talk? No, that was pretty much it, I think. Oh, I guess a final thing, it's not really something I've documented, but you know, if you don't have any metadata information, I made a tool that allows you to just specify the artist, album, song, track number, total number of tracks, the year the album was made, the link to the cover, you know, the album cover image, and the YouTube link, all explicitly. And it would, you know, create an M4A file from the YouTube clip with all the metadata filled in. And that's something I'm starting to use a little bit, but since I pretty much get only songs that are in studio albums by studio artists, I haven't used it that much. I've only used it 5 or 6 times since I wrote it up. But
Awesome.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, anybody else got questions for Taneem? How we got started? So how long has this project been running for?
Which one?
This, you know, the restructured text. You presented on it previously. I think.
Yeah, probably 2 years in one flavor or another. I mean, it started very simple, and it's been going on for 2 years. I haven't spent a lot of time on it because it's sort of got good enough. It's using a lot of the functionality of the docutils package, which comes with this executable. And it was like 90% of the way there. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I don't need to yet do something like that. But since I wanted to make creating and sending emails easier, I thought I'd spend some time, you know, fixing this final bit of functionality so that it, you know, it works to create and then hopefully soon send emails. I've already written up code for other application, for other projects to send, you know, some valid non-imaged or just only embedded imaged HTML as email. Here's just okay, here's that extra step. And now I can, you know, send an email through Gmail from myself to other recipients.
Nice. So when do we get a like a plugin for Google Chrome for this?
Oh, I'm not going to bother with that. I'm
Okay.
line all the way, baby. It's just I figure browsers are already too much of an ostentation. Why can't they be more people should develop more for command ncurses or command line based browsers. Yeah, why do we need all this, you know, this rendering of images and video and crap like that? Something like links or e-links is the way to go. Easier to
Oh.
program.
Nice, like really old school internet, you mean?
Yes, pre-mosaic, that sort of thing.
Nice. Hey, Camelia, I saw you came in. I didn't say hi earlier. I see you're unmuted. Did you have a question for Taneem? Oh, click.
All right,
All right.
that's fine.
So tell me about your driving philosophy here. Total
Oh.
acceleration is A0.
Okay, here it is. So the idea there is you know, why you should be driving at least 5 to 10 miles per hour under the speed limit if you're not on the highway. It's fleshed out a little bit more. This is really describing, okay, the formula describing the acceleration as you go through, you know, this circle. You know, you're going to merge you're going on one lane and there's another road 90 degrees to it. this is the how to go from a stop to that other road, which has like a 60-foot radius of curvature. It just describes how you accelerate in such a way that you reach a maximum speed of 15 miles per hour. And then that basically tells you the acceleration of 15 miles per hour in a 60-foot radius curve. That's like, that's the maximum acceleration or deceleration you should experience, or that I try to reach. So it's about, was it 5.5 miles per hour per second of acceleration or deceleration. So, if the person behind me is angry that I'm driving too slowly or not speeding up fast enough, at least I'm confident they're paying attention.
There you go. Now, was this driving style was perhaps informed by driving around with like a soda with no lid on it or something?
No, it's informed by the fact that nobody anywhere knows how to drive.
Well,
It's the
fair
same
enough.
way nobody knows how to really program either.
I was gonna
Fair
say
enough.
that's more of a social phenomena, isn't it? Like everybody always says, "Oh, we have the worst." Oh, my area is the #1 worst.
Well, I've sort of given up, so I'm just saying I'll just drive slowly enough that I'm going to, be confident for myself that I can anticipate what's happening. Slower driving means I have more time to react.
All right. But do we have video of this?
Of me driving slowly, or
Well, I mean, you've gotten very into the like
I
calculus.
might have put in the video somewhere. I don't remember if I did. I guess I could, remember this tool to create a bunch of PNGs and then create an MP4 or an animated GIF from that. Yeah, you've seen versions of that functionality. I mean, I've demonstrated that functionality. But yeah,
Oh yeah, true.
yeah, I guess I could. Maybe enhancement of this thing here is probably the way to go.
Oh, I bet you could do that with this one Python library called Manim. It's a like portmanteau of mathematical animation.
Oh, probably.
There's a blog that goes along with it, or blog, or it's a YouTube channel called Three Brown, One Blue, or Three Blue, One Brown. This guy Grant Sanderson does all these really nice explainer videos on various mathematical concepts, and then he wrote this Python library called Manim. And maybe a future presentation could include that.
Hey,
Yeah, I guess if you can get that guy to, work with me, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
hey,
Yeah.
what's the name of the library again?
Manim, MANIM.
MANIM, huh?
Hey, Robert, you made it. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 blue, 1 brown. I think it is.
Okay.
3B, 1B. Yeah, 3 blue, 1 brown. Here, I'll post the link in the chat.
I can stop sharing and you can do your thing if you want.
Sure. Oh, well,
All right.
well, we're pretty much in like random mode here. So if anyone's got a project they're working on that they want to show in its present level of completion, or perhaps a project they have in mind, like an idea that they're thinking about, want to talk about, now is the time. Robert, you made it. What's up?
Yeah. Sorry, it's getting late, getting back from dinner late. So yeah, I've been totally into 3D printing and using Blender lately. So probably my next project is going to be a Blender extension.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Blender has Python bindings, doesn't it?
It definitely does.
So, all right. So, what are you gonna do? What are you making?
Something to make it easier to produce hardware like screws and nuts and bolts and stuff like that, and automatically have them match when you go to print them, right? It's just kind of like a utility, so that you don't have as much grunt work and taking your stuff that you develop in Blender and then printing it in a different program that's called Cura. It's also written in Python.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, what was the latest thing you printed?
The latest thing I printed was the Starship,
Oh, okay. Wait, the SpaceX one?
the SpaceX Starship. Yep.
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
So,
Wait, do you have it
Well,
close at hand? Can you show us?
yeah, hold on. There they are. Right. So I've got that, and
Where are we launching it from?
Yeah, now we're asking the real questions.
uh,
What are you using?
I'm betting it will end up getting launched for the first time from Florida.
Oh, not Starbase?
I don't think so. The red tape people are doing their best to keep that from happening.
Fair enough. But what about Houston? Couldn't they do it from there? Or is that just where they do control? I don't know
Yeah.
much about the space industry.
Yeah, that would be scary if they tried to launch a rocket from the mission control, because they don't have a launch pad there.
Okay, shows what I know. Ooh, all right, I found a short demo of Manon. You guys want to see it?
Manon.
It sounds
Sounds like a
manic or
detective.
something. You're right.
Epithet.
Here, hold on. I'll turn on my camera so I can show you my babies here.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's look at that.
So can we get a good look at it there? So
Oh yeah, look at that. And it's got this sort of off-centered front fins. There's like a name for those. Canards?
yeah, I think so. Right. Yeah, the lighting isn't very good for some reason. So
Yeah, backlight's a little rough.
yeah.
That front lighting. Not that I can talk. My lighting's a little whack too.
Yeah, lighting is a whole field in itself.
Definitely. Yeah, we're here for Python. This isn't the lighting meetup. The lighting meetups this way.
There probably is a filmography one.
Wait, photography or did you say pornography?
Oh, probably both, but
Yeah, either way, lighting I'd imagine is important. All right, here's a quick one. E to the I pi in 3.14 minutes.
One way to think about the function e to the t is to ask what properties does it have? Probably the most important one, and from some points of view the defining property, is that it is its own derivative. Together with the added condition that inputting 0 returns 1, it's actually the only function with this property. And you can illustrate what this means with a physical model. If e to the t describes your position on a number line as a function of time, then you start at the number 1, and what this equation is saying is that your velocity, the derivative of position, is always equal to that position. The farther away from 0 you are, the faster you move. So even before knowing how to compute e to the t exactly, going from a specific time to a specific position, this ability to associate each position with a velocity paints a very strong intuitive picture of how the function must grow. You know that you'll be accelerating, and at an accelerating rate, with an all-around feeling of things getting out of hand quickly. And if you add a constant to that exponent, like e to the 2 times t, the chain rule tells us that the derivative is now 2 times itself. So at every point on the number line, rather than attaching a vector corresponding to the number itself, first double the magnitude of the position, then attach it. Moving so that your position is always e to the 2t is the same thing as moving in such a way that your velocity is always twice your position. The implication of that too is that our runaway growth feels all the more out of control. If that constant was negative, say negative 0.5, then your velocity vector is always negative 0.5 times your position vector, meaning you flip it around 180 degrees and scale its length by a half, moving in such a way that your velocity always matches this flipped and squished copy of your position vector. You'd go the other direction, slowing down in an exponential decay towards 0. But what about if that constant was I, the square root of negative 1? If your position was always e to the it, how would you move as the time t ticks forward? Well, now the derivative of your position will always be I times itself, and multiplying by I has the effect of rotating numbers 90 degrees. So, as you might expect, things only make sense here if we start thinking beyond the number line and in the complex plane. So even before you know how to compute e to the I times t, you know that for any position this might give for some value of time, the velocity at that time will be a 90-degree rotation of that position. Drawing this for all possible positions you might come across, you get a vector field, where, as usual with vector fields, you shrink things down to avoid clutter. At time t equals 0, e to the it will be 1, that's our initial condition, and there's only one trajectory starting from that position where your velocity is always matching the vector that it's passing through, a 90-degree rotation of the position. It's when you go around a circle of radius 1 at a speed of 1 unit per second. So after pi seconds, you've traced a distance of pi around, so e to the I times pi should be negative 1. After tau seconds, you've gone full circle. E to the I times tau equals 1. And more generally, e to the I times t equals a number that's t radians around this unit circle in the complex plane. Nevertheless, something might still feel immoral about putting an imaginary number up in that exponent. And you would be right to question that. What we write as e to the t is a bit of a notational disaster, giving the number e and the idea of repeated multiplication way more emphasis than they deserve. But my time is up, so I'll spare you the full rant until the next video.
All right, so that was Grant Sanderson, and that's his YouTube channel, 3 Blue, 1 Brown. And I believe he made Manim as a tool for that particular YouTube channel so that he could illustrate the concepts he was talking about. Anyway, I thought that one was cool.
So if someone imitates his voice, anyone can make 3 Blue, 1 Brown videos with the Manim library.
Yeah, I guess so. Apparently that's getting easier these days with some machine learning implementations. Let's see, where's the GitHub on that? Did anyone look at that yet?
Yeah.
How do I hide my? There we go. Look at that real quick.
It says animation engine to make you look as good as Grant Sanderson.
Mathematical animation engine. Oh, ManimGO is the library. And that's on. He's got it on pip. Oh, you need FFmpeg to do that.
Well, I do. I know for my crap too, so that's not
A lot of things
surprising.
rely on FFmpeg.
Oh, sure. Oh, and who's that YouTuber that does all the spoofs on various software engineers? And he did the thing on FFmpeg.
Programmers are human too, or something like that. Yeah, he had a FFmpeg programmer or FFmpeg power user. Yeah.
I once cut an entire documentary on FFmpeg. Pretty cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so let's see. I was going to do some leak code if we didn't have anything else.
Leak code is good.
Should I pull that up?
I have an announcement, if I may, Woody.
Oh, please.
Oh, Okay. As some people will know, my research area is not exactly neuroscience, it's cognitive psychology, which in simple words for simple people like me means how do we learn? And for many years, I have been working on the edX platform, training people in web, so not Python, but and what we have noticed with these courses is that they have a very high dropout rate. And that's true of all distance learning. So whether you are back in the old days of correspondence school, or whether you're talking about Australia with the School of the Air, whether you're talking internet, doesn't really matter. There's some reason why there's a very high dropout rate. Now, one reason why is that it's easy to start. So you come to January the 1st, you make your New Year's resolution, I'm going to learn XYZ topic. And like other New Year's resolutions, come the second week of January, you're beginning to think, I'm not sure if I can keep this up. So distance learning, oftentimes some of these companies that were involved in that made a lot of money because people paid up front and they said, I have these good intentions, but they never finished. So, of course, the company took the money quite happily for the whole course, even though you only did the first couple of sessions. Anyway, regardless of all of that, the same problem happens with our MOOCs, massive open online courses. So I asked the question, okay, I understand why people get into it and then don't continue. But there are a lot of people who get into it and don't finish, and good intentions or otherwise. It's quite simply that quite often life intervenes. You suddenly find yourself on a project that requires 16 hours a day. You don't have time left over to do your own training interest. Sometimes something happens at home, somebody gets sick, and all of a sudden your good intentions of getting up early in the morning and putting in an hour's study just falls by the wayside. But there's another general consideration, and that is that we are motivated in two ways. One is we have intrinsic, or let's call it internal motivation. So it comes from inside. Yeah, I have these good intentions. That's very much me. That's inside. And then we have extrinsic motivation, which is motivation that comes from outside. So if you stand over your children and with a big stick and you say, you will do your homework, that is external to them. And they may not want to do their homework, but they'll do it because they fear the big stick. Or maybe rather than the stick, you go for the carrot. If you finish your homework early, you can have a chocolate biscuit or whatever is the motivation for your children. So I'm looking at this area of motivation. Now, coming back to Python. What I'm planning to do over the New Year's break, and I was explaining to Woody that down here, the academic year is the same as the calendar year. So our summer break is December, January, February. And so we have no university classes. Unfortunately, I'm on the internet, which means we get no break. But of course, in the Northern Hemisphere, people take this time of year as an opportunity to hunker down. And aside from the festivities, will often spend quite a lot of time working on their projects. Perhaps not so much in California, but certainly in Scandinavia, of course, some very famous projects happen, and great progress is made over the winter months because people are not going outside. I wonder why. So anyway, what I'm offering to do is to include not just the internal requirements of self-study and self-paced study, but to have some extrinsic component, a social component to learning. So I'm looking for people who are interested in learning Python over the next few months, registering in a MOOC. The university, UMich, the University of Michigan, have some reasonably good Python courses available on the Coursera platform. And that's good because I don't work on that platform, so it means no favoritism. So people will register in the course, and then we will meet pretty much like we're meeting here on Zoom. We will meet once a week or whatever the group decide, and we will talk together. We will encourage each other. We will help with questions. And I have getting on for 2 decades of experience with Python. So if people have questions, I should be able to help them, or at least point them in the right direction to finding a solution. So, we will use that opportunity for people to ask each other questions, ask me questions. And then the big question, of course, is, all right, I've just learned how to use Python lists, for example. How do I use a list in a real application? What is the real world use of what I have just learned? And in a university lecture, we often miss that component. There isn't time to spend a lot of a lecture talking about how things are used. And so we often just go through all the rules. Okay, here's what a list is. Yes, you are allowed to change the values in a list. This is indexing a list. This is using a list in a for loop, all those sorts of things. But we don't often talk about application. So that's where we're at. I'm looking for a small pilot group of people who would like to try this. So, 4 or 5 people would be very nice. And I'm thinking we will start at scratch, but if somebody has been learning Python for a little while but doesn't know a lot and wants to, what should we say, move from being a Python apprentice to being a Python journeyman, then yeah, we can look at that as well. Okay.
So,
That's the presentation, Woody. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, great announcement. I might join that group because I'm always looking to get better. Robert, you were saying something?
What is the contact information for people who are interested?
I was just about to say, like you mentioned all that, but not any way to sign up, quote unquote.
Yeah, how do we start?
Oh, wow. Okay, I better put email in the chat. Okay, Woody?
Yeah, fine by me.
Yeah. If you got takers, you want to make sure they have a way to contact you.
Oh,
It was a good
sure.
pitch, just didn't leave the business card. All right, well, that sucks.
Well, I wasn't planning a presentation, but when Woody said it's going to be show and tell, I thought I would do the tell part. Now you're asking me for the show. Hey guys, how about a bit of dinner before the show?
Yeah, it was a good call to action. We're ready for action.
Yeah,
right.
I think
okay.
I think for a user group, you're going to have people who are at different levels coming in. So I would put myself as wanting to move to the journeyman level at this point.
That's Robert. Yeah. I don't have a problem, Robert. There are a few people who are coming in right at the bottom level. So the only issue there is if they are talking about something really basic, as I say, how do I use a list? I'm quite sure that if you're feeling at the journeyman level, you already know how to use a list. So it may be that you would be prepared to contribute to them and help out the beginners.
Yeah. Basically be a PA, right?
Yes. You're talking about me, or are you talking about you?
In other words, as the more advanced students should be like a teacher's assistant for the newer ones, right?
Well, not exclusively, but yes. I mean, so if it's a social, the idea is to introduce a social component to the MOOC. Now, the MOOC is normally self-study, self-paced, do it on your own, so totally intrinsic. We're adding a social component, so that would, we could just be talking about anything. We could be talking about budgerigas. That's fine. All I was saying to you was, if we've got some people who are starting from scratch, they will be asking questions that are below your level of interest. So if you're happy to coexist, and then when it's your turn, you can ask a question that's at your level, and it will go over the head of the other people. And as long as they're happy with that, you know, we rub along together quite happily. That's good.
I like it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the idea is I don't want to have to put together a whole Python training course. There's plenty of them already out there. So we just take advantage of that, but that we add this extra component to it, which I hope will help people feel encouraged and continue to be encouraged.
That was what was my fault.
Sorry, I failed to understand that.
Oh, oops. Evan, I muted you because there was some background noise. Could
Yeah,
you,
sorry. No, I was gonna ask about you mentioned University of Michigan. Is that like a free course that they give online, like one of the Coursera things, or what is that exactly?
Exactly, you've named it all. So you, Mitch, have a number of courses on Coursera, and so some of them they start right at the beginning, and others are at a higher level of skill.
Gotcha.
They actually have two sets of courses. Don't know if you've come across Dr. Chuck in the past. Chuck or Charles Severance. He ran lots of courses and put together some very basic courses years and years and years ago. But more recently, there's been a better series of videos, in my humble opinion, put together by the staff. So yeah, I'm mentioning those once again. I'm very happy to listen to what people are interested in. You know, I'm not trying to set out any rules here. It would be good if the group organized itself.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to email you about that, and then hopefully get some more details, and I'll share it out to SacPy if that's okay.
Yep, please do. Yeah. Did that answer your questions, Evan and Robert?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. And everybody, you know, open invitation. If people know of someone, you know, you got someone at school who's going to be doing Python this year or next year, they want to get a head start, you know, that's fine too. But most of the existing people who've said they're interested are adults. And I've spent a lot of time doing vocational training. The technical word is andragogy as opposed to pedagogy, which is teaching or learning as an adult. But if we use kids, if we have interest from kids, then that's fine, as long as we're all used to it, dealing with them. Yeah, please don't post my email on Slack, Discord, if that's what you're saying on the chat.
It has been removed. But I did email you for follow-up. Omid, I got you a link for Discord. Just a moment.
Thank you.
Oh, Evan got one too. Cool. That should work. Awesome. Well, that sounds cool. Honestly, at this point, I figure I might join along just to go through the motions and do some drills. I may know most of what we'll go through, but if nothing else, practice makes perfect.
You're only a master once you can teach it.
Yeah, exactly. See one, do one, teach one.
Yeah, so just closing off on that question about Coursera, remember that Coursera charge people for courses, but in actual fact, if you look at it carefully, you realize they charge you for certification. So if you want a certificate, you've got to pay their fees. But if you can negotiate your way around all of the advertising and all of the, what should we say, pressure to pay, it is actually possible to do the courses for free, what they call auditing a course. So money is not a problem for people who would prefer to do it for free. But for people who would like certification, then yeah, you pays for it.
Yeah, I've done a few courses on Coursera. It's always really nice just to audit it. Got a lot of good learning in. I just did one the other month for Python.
Oh, very good. Which one did you do, Ahmed?
It was the one from Google, Google's crash course on Python and part of their Python automation specialization. I
Right.
just
Yeah.
audited the course though. Yeah, it was really good. Actually, very interactive for learning Python because it'll let you do like a lot of hands-on exercises. So that was like the best kind of like coding course I did to help kind of put everything together for me.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head there as well. That, and I think Woody said it a moment ago too. It's all very well to read and think that you are learning, but it's when you get your fingers on the keyboard and actually do it that you prove whether you've learned it or not. It is one of the things that irritates me. There's a cultural thing about some of our Indian students, or I should say many of our students from India, that they feel that success is partly measured by how quickly you can get through the course. And they completely forget to do the quizzes, they completely forget to do the practical assignments, and they just rush through to do the exam at the end, I guess. And I often wonder if you interviewed them 6 months later, how much they would remember, how much have they actually learned. But anyway, that's their approach. That's their business, not me. I'm not there to tell them that what they're doing is wrong. But I think, yeah, a lot of people do the courses and then they end up with a question, and it can be difficult to ask a question. So, people try writing a program and it doesn't quite work, and you can't quite figure out what you did wrong because you're still new to it all. So, having someone to talk to, just being able to phone a friend, as they say in the quiz competitions on TV, then hopefully that'll help. So this is the experiment from my perspective, if you want to look at it like that. But hopefully it will be of benefit. The objective is to be a benefit to the learners.
Awesome. Well, I emailed you about that. Any details you send me, I will forward along to the group. Hopefully we can get a few people to join along. I'll probably just audit it, though. Maybe I'll have a change of heart by the end and decide to grab a certification. I know recruiters ask for certifications from time to time.
And Coursera, edX, most of these, yeah, you can audit it first, and then you can take a second run at it by paying the fee and sitting through the exams. So it's not impossible to do it that way. But the social component of what we're trying to do, Woody, is kind of all or nothing. Either you're in or you're not. So yeah, what you do with Coursera or whoever you choose is one thing. Yeah, if the group's going to be a group, everybody has to be working together, which is what I was talking about with Robert. As long as everybody's happy to work together, then that's good. Anyway, nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've taken a lot of time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I've got Leet code loaded up here, but before we get going on that, if anyone else has something they want to go over or talk about, now's a good time. Otherwise, we can start playing around with solving one of these coding challenges that they like to throw at you in technical interviews, in case anyone's in that space presently. Anyone got anything interesting? Robert, thanks for showing us your rocket. Danim, thanks once again for sharing what you're working on. DN, sounds like a good project. Omid, you got anything?
There's just that simple arithmetic formatter I finished for the free code camp curriculum I'm working on. Nothing too crazy though.
You want to show us? Would you
Yeah,
be willing?
sure.
Okay, here, I'll stop sharing.
All right. This room is a bit too, no, it's not too dark. All right. Share my screen. So basically, you're just, they had this code a little thing that adds two numbers together or subtraction. And then they had like test cases within it. So they gave us like a little boilerplate to start out and like rules for it. So couldn't have like too many problems in one function call. You just have to have a bunch of condition things. Anyways, going into the code here. So this was their test module, what they test. I don't really know what they used to do this, but it basically runs from here, and then this is where I had to write all of my code in. So basically start with nothing, just the function, like one line. So I had to go line by line, figure out how to print each line. So I separated the first numbers, like in one line, second, third one for the dashes, and the fourth one for the answers. Yeah, so start out just with the if checks to pass the rules that I had, like there's too many problems, or if the operator isn't a addition or subtraction. What else? I tried to like write a lot of comments, and I actually had my friend who works at Google kind of like give me tips and stuff. Then I end up like refactoring a lot of stuff. Making sure they actually give me numbers for the way it comes in. So it comes in like number and then addition, subtraction, or second number. What else? Couldn't be more than 4 digits. That was one of the rules too. And then I put the values after splitting them here. I put them each, like, because they're all strings, I had to change them to integers. And I also need to find the length of it to be able to display it properly. Yeah, then just kind of going down just a lot of stuff to just make it appear correctly and spaced out correctly. And then at the end of it, just run it. And I think my screen's kind of hiding this. I don't know if you can see that, but it passed all the tests that they had. It took me a couple of days. I think actually like a full week to finish this. So
Nice. Yeah, so the idea is however long the longest number is, the operator is, there's a space and then the operator, and then everything's right justified otherwise.
exactly, pretty much. Yeah, and there was, I could have used like rjust in Python, but I didn't know about that till afterwards.
So this is sort of like a free code camp, leet code.
Yeah, exactly. This is free code camp.
Yeah, it's
So-
literally called free code camp.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
They're
well
scientific
known.
computer
But-
Python projects.
So, well, let's stop and take a look at what the actual rules are
Okay.
that, so we can know what the but you gotta go slower.
Sure, got it. So going down the rules, can't have more than 5 problems. So that was the first rule. I made
But
sure to.
What's
what
the
was that?
assignment?
Oh, can we post the link? Just the arithmetic formatter.
Students in primary school often arrange arithmetic problems vertically to make them easier to solve. And so it says 235 plus 52 becomes that. Create a function that receives a list of strings that are arithmetic problems and returns the problems arranged vertically and side by side. Okay, right. So you start off with that, and then you end up with things that look like something you get in elementary school.
pretty much, exactly. Very basic calculator.
So if you look at that second output, which is in the middle of the screen now, you can see that some of those columns are wider than others.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to use external packages? Tabulate is a great package for doing a lot of this stuff.
I assume the point of this was not to use like packages to kind of code it from scratch. I'm not sure if that was one of the rules, but I kind of wanted to just do
So-
it like from scratch in a way, like without like looking up modules or libraries.
So as a software engineering question, how much overkill is using the tabulate package as opposed to just, using the standard Python library?
In terms of performance, it's one of those developer times versus computing resources, things like that.
Yeah, but how long does it take you to learn how to use the tabulate package?
Oh, fair enough. If somebody knows tabulate, this might take like 30 minutes to whip
Yeah.
together just using tabulate, but
Right.
tabulate's
also-
not too complicated.
Yeah, I think it also perhaps is more like, what is the lesson? I think the lesson here is mostly string manipulation, like how to understand and list manipulation, and then like a tiny bit of arithmetic, because you're not given the answers, right? You're given a set of problems.
Yeah, you're only given a set of problems and either addition or subtraction.
And not forgetting that you'd need to buffer all of those answers in order to be able to present them line by line, whereas you're looking at them vertically. So you're presenting horizontally, but you're looking vertically.
So that's probably one of the features of tabulate, is that collation into columns, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's a killer feature. I use it all the time for
Yeah, that is
you
killer.
know, a reportage onto the screen. I don't even bother trying to do any of the formatting myself anymore. I'm just here's the data in rows and columns. Push it into tabulate, and tabulate spits out something that doesn't give me a headache when I look at it on the screen. So
So Ahmed, are you doing it all by string manipulation, or are you allowed to use F strings?
What do you mean by F strings?
Are you not aware that Python has a formatting method for strings?
Oh, you mean like the dot format one? Yeah, I
where you
didn't-
put it, you know how strings are enclosed by quotation marks. You put an F to the left of the first
Oh,
quotation
yeah,
mark.
yeah.
Come
Mhm.
across that?
Yeah, I've used
Okay,
that
so if you
one of the little like things I did in the course, and in the middle of that I remembered about it, but then I just kept going on the way I was doing it.
okay, and the reason I ask is that with F strings is a more modern approach, but there are other ways of doing it. But the Python has a string formatting language. And one of the things that's available to you there is to write justify your numbers in this case, or strings if you prefer.
Yeah, using the R just one, right?
No, well, very similar to, but without actually calling rjust.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you know that your field is going to be so many columns wide, which is one of your calculations. So you know that your left column is four characters wide, and then your second column is 6 characters wide, if my old eyes haven't betrayed me. So once you know the width of that column, you simply use the write justified within that column. But you can present it using an F string and a formatter.
Yeah, I haven't like used the F strings too much. The one with the F and then the quotation marks, but I have like heard of it, just haven't really used it in anything yet. This is like the first project I kind of done that was through like free code camp. But yeah, I should definitely look into F strings more and use that for like the next project I end up doing.
Yeah, quite right. If the course hasn't covered F strings, which was my opening question, if the course hasn't covered it, then obviously I'm
Oh, they have
talking like
covered it. Yeah, it was
talk-
just like it was way back, and it's one of those things where yeah, it's like the way this course does it. I mean, you go through everything, but I kind of like forget it unless I'm actually like making it into something. So I just kind of like used the docs while I was doing a lot of this to kind of figure out how to apply every rule. And then one part I kept doing too many like if condition loops together, then I had to like change it and break it up to make it like a bit more smoother to read. Because it was getting confusing to like read in because it was like if this or this or this or this and uh like the if else just kept getting way too nested in.
Hey, but you got it done. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, all right, this isn't totally necessary, but suppose what they were giving you was a number of problems that had more than two values in the sum, or yeah, or the difference or whatever. So say like the first one had 2, and then the second one had 3, and the third one had 4, and then the last one had 2. You'd have to figure out all the space that you need to put
Oh
for,
yeah.
yeah. And so like that say that third one is the longest one, that'd be the only line that you put a number in.
That'd
And then
be yeah, that'd be difficult to kind of change that.
yeah, and then if you will you go back to your solution?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so all right, in lines 64 through 67, I see you've got line 1, 2, 3, 4. So suppose there's that, and then also if you scroll up, I noticed that you had problems to. Okay, maybe it's just. Okay, you did it by problems. Oh, okay, no, scroll down 27, 28.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you've got first value, second value.
Yeah, every time
So
it goes through like here to get something.
yeah, so each of them would have a separate number of values for each of those. And so like, you know, it's a mental puzzle, but instead of hard coding those values, you could instead make a list for each of them that's like, all right, values for problem number whatever.
Mhm.
And then
two-dimensional lists. Yeah.
yeah, and then you've also you're also being given, it seems, a static number of problems each time, and I think you've hard coded that. So like coding this little algorithm to handle a variable number of problems each time, I think you could do with a list of values for each of those, one being the list of the problems, and then another being a list of the values. So sprain your brain a little bit with that.
Yeah, definitely could see it. And I think if I ever redid this, instead of like concatenating within the string, I probably would have had it like input everything into a list and then like join at the end instead of the way it is now.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, what's the next problem you're working on?
The next problem was going to be the next thing here, but it looked kind of boring. So I think I'm going to try and make a Discord bot.
Omid, I've posted in the chat reference to the docs for F strings and formatting.
Thank you. I'll take a look at it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for the share. I really appreciate that. It's always nice seeing what people are working on at what level they're at. Taneem always comes in with some super high level stuff, but it's always fun to see some like early stage things. That was awesome. All right. Well, oh, we got another person in here. What's up, Chuba? Welcome. You made it eventually. All right. Anybody else working on anything, or should I jump into some leak code? We'll do a problem for the night to close out.
Let's do leak code.
All right, I will share that. Is that the one? No, that's not the one.
Yeah,
There.
apologies.
Remove.
I'm going to be dragged away, so I shall love you and leave you. Thanks very much, everybody, and look forward to hearing from you in due course, or I'll see you next time we have a meeting.
All right, thanks again, Deanne. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
I'm
Bye.
in a similar boat. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Later.
no worries. This is definitely the closing credits. So if you got to move on, feel free. Otherwise, feel free to play along. Okay, so leak code. For anyone who's still here, we've still got 6 of us. I don't know if anyone's interviewing anytime soon, or is just looking to sharpen their understanding of algorithms. But leak code's a pretty good way to test yourself. This one's an easy level. You can see at the top left of the screen here. There's easy, medium, and hard, but for the sake of actually finishing one, just do an easy one today. Okay, so this one's called remove element. Given an integer array nums over here on the right, and an integer val, remove all occurrences of val in nums in place. The relative order of the elements may be changed. Since it's impossible to change the length of the array in some languages, you must instead have the result be placed in the first part of the array nums. More formally, if there are k elements before removing the duplicates, then the first k elements of nums should hold the final result. It does not matter what you leave behind the first k elements. Return k after placing the final result in the first k slots of nums. Do not allocate extra space for another array. Let's do this by modifying input array in place with O1 extra memory. All right, so we're returning an integer, and then the integer is simply the number of values in nums that aren't val. All right. So, all right. So basically we want to, and it's O1. So O1 means we want to go through it one time. Is that right? Okay, so we're returning an integer. So how many values are not val in nums? So we'll do a count. And then I guess we'll just go through our list for I in range length of nums. Okay, so we don't want to return things that are value or val. Okay, so if nums I is not equal to val, count plus equals 1. But we need to do a thing where we remove vowels. Okay, so count is equal to okay, but we want to remove it. So if we're going in, and the count is 0, and we encounter a value that's not val, and we want to replace the last one, and so nums dot count equal to nums I. and then increment. And that should do it, right?
So K should be equal to the length of nums, right?
Yes. So the first K elements, and so K elements of nums are, the K count is all the count of the values in nums that are not this value, val.
Does not matter what you leave beyond the first K elements. Okay.
Let's see how that went. We'll run it instead of submitting it. Oh,
You're not deleting anything from the list. Yeah.
well, you kind of are. Because what we're doing is the first time we encounter something that is not value, we put it at the count, and it starts at 0. So then you store that thing at the start of the list, but now count goes up. So the next time you encounter something that's not val, you store it at the next place in. And then this is a. And then it's a class, and so we're updating the object instance nums. So I guess it's detecting. Oh yeah. All right. There's probably some way we could have done this in like a single thing. I mean, that wasn't as dramatic as maybe we should have done a medium one next time. How do we find? I want to see the examples of like solutions. I guess we get to look at solutions now. Oh, someone said something. Oh, Evan says. Oh, okay. Evan, are you still here? No, Evan's off. Well, we have 2 Tanims. What's going on with that, Tanim? Did someone change themselves to Tanim? Well, stay strong, Robert. Okay. All right. Well, that was pretty low drama. Should we do another one?
Yeah, let's do another one.
All right. Let's go back to the problems list. See what we got. How about valid parentheses or merge 2 sorted lists? That one's yeah, let's do val.
Okay.
All right. So given a string S containing just the characters, paren, braces, and brackets, determine if the input string is valid. Okay. All right. An input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. Okay. Every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. Okay, so this is showing us a really simple one. Just 2 characters, so it's opposite paren. And then one of each. And then a mixed case. And then presumably this will get a little bit more detailed and be like paren at the start, paren at the beginning, and then stuff nested.
And it can't have any other characters.
And it can't have any other characters. Okay, so.
Yeah.
All right, so.
So you just have a counter for each type of parentheses, right? So you've got parens, braces, and square brackets. And so you have a counter called paren, you have a counter called brace, and you have a counter called square bracket. And as you're scanning the string from left to right, you just count. If you have an open one, then you add. And if you have a closed one, then you subtract. And when you get to the end, all of them should be 0.
Right. Okay, so we're going to get this string and we're going to loop through this string. And so that loops, unless we specify, it'll loop from left to right. And so what should matter first is all the left symbols. So make a list of left symbols. So for character in S, so then
Yeah.
this is where we want to figure out, is this one of those symbols?
Yeah, if it's a left paren, then do no, you're doing something different for each type of character. So I don't see the value of checking if the character is in, I guess you could say if it's in that set, then it's a valid character. And if it's not in that set, it's an invalid character, and you automatically exit and say bad.
Yeah, so then else return false. Oh,
So that's the set of open characters.
right. So this group left symbols. Oh, white space problem. All right, so okay. Yeah. Okay, so you want to pair up the right symbols. All right, this is spraining my brain because what I'm thinking is like one of the valid inputs should be something like that, right? And so valid parentheses. Open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. So like this would be technically the correct orders. Because say, for example, you've got a, I don't know, a tuple of dictionaries or whatever that is, a dictionary of lists of tuples, right? So that could be valid versus say like that. And those seem to be the test cases. So if you start with a paren, you might want to start by going from the right side of the list. S consists of parentheses only. Well, oh,
Right. So the more interesting test cases would be as long as the all, let's see here. So what happens if you have paren, 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 3 parens, and then a right bracket, and then a left bracket. Yeah, the problem comes when you have the closing bracket before the open one. You have to be able to do the right thing in that case. So
yeah, because basically this is something that an IDE is doing, right?
yeah, a parser.
Yeah, well, definitely a parser, but like an IDE would show you real time when you've got troubles. But yeah, a compiler also would. Brace, yeah, and then symbols is equals 0, and that symbols. Oh wait. Oops. We want equalities here, not assignments. No. Wait, did I do braces next? Yeah, I did. Then close it. There we go. Okay, yeah, so this is either
valid dash parentheses.
all right. So yeah, we want to return true if it works. So okay, so oh, get some stragglers. Huh? Whoa, it's really slow though. How would I speed that up? Oh, memory. Maybe I could do a switch statement or something. Oh, Ami, do you ask a question? Are you using an extension to get dark mode on the problems page? I have dark state beta turned on, but it won't darken everything on the problems page. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, dark side beta. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's all it was.
Got it. I'll keep messing around with it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, I don't want to do too many more of those. We're almost done with the time, right? Cool. Well, hey, we should do show and tell more often. Save some of our speakers time, and then people can chime in and show what we're doing. But cool. Well, all right. I'm gonna stop the share on here. Yeah. Well, thanks for everyone for coming. I hope everyone has a good rest of their holiday season, a good rest of the year. We'll be back on again January 5th. I think Violet's got something interesting that they're doing with some sort of server thing. She's telling you. Yeah, should be interesting. All right. Well, before we wrap up, give everyone the chance to pipe up. Got any announcements? Speak now. Forever hold your peace. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I will see you guys all in a month.
Okay, that all.
Happy Pythoning.
See you.
Thanks again, Tony.